Welcome back guys to the course on Introduction to Information Security. We are covering another chapter in this one called Security Awareness, and we'll be talking about mobile security in this chapter. Let's look at the objectives of this chapter. After completing this chapter, you should be able to do the following: describe attacks through Wi-Fi and Bluetooth networks. Then we'll explain the different type of attacks on mobile devices. How can we protect? So list of defenses for a home Wi-Fi network and describe how to use public wireless networks securely. And then we list the type of the security for mobile devices. Users now spend over half of computing time each day using a mobile device. Since they are widely spread, most of the people have the smart gadgets, whether they are mobile phones, tablets, or anything like that. They are spending a lot of time on searching for items. It is a bit tedious job to to hop up to the computer, sit in front of it, and then search for the things. So handheld devices are the most popular these days for the searching on the internet. 4 out of every 5 web searches today are performed on a mobile device because they are handy. You can easily carry them around, and all of them are connected to a Wi-Fi network or through a 4G network. Now, wireless networks have become a prime target for attacks because people are constantly looking for unprotected networks and looking for public Wi-Fi networks, and then they try to penetrate in those wireless networks. The reason is that most of us are not even aware about the security protocols of the Wi-Fi networks. If the settings are not optimum for the security of the Wi-Fi network, there are high chances that your Wi-Fi network will be compromised. Now, when talking about mobile attacks, attacks are directed at mobile devices. They are of several types. They could be wireless, they could be through the Bluetooth, or they could be through the 4G networks. Now, attacks directed toward wireless networks affect the mobile devices. Sometimes the people try to copy the data, your content, your pictures, and they might be able to even make the calls through your mobile phone. Popular attacks type of the wireless networks are Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Wi-Fi networks, wireless local area network, the wireless network that we use at home or at the public places, or the Wi-Fi routers typically used at the home. They use a radio frequency transmission. Devices in range of the connection devices can send and receive the information. So it all depends on the signal strength of it. If the people in the nearby area can easily reach that network, they would try to connect to that Wi-Fi network. Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers responsible for establishing the Wi-Fi standards that we are using these days. And attacks through the Wi-Fi networks. In the second slide, we are talking about the frequency. As you can see that on 2.4 gigahertz, we are referring it as 802.11, and it goes on with the speed, like how much speed will be there approximately. Both of them are 2.4 gigahertz, but the difference is it's 802.11 regular one, and if it's with the B sign over there, it means that there would be a speed difference over here. Further, the other things would be changing, but we are mostly concerned about the speed over here. Then the channels as well. If we are talking about 802.11a, it's 5 gigahertz, and then we'll be having around about 54 mbps speed, and so on. So that's how we are distinguishing the Wi-Fi networks. Even when we are purchasing the Wi-Fi routers, these things are mentioned on top of the boxes where you can see A, B, G, or N network. So by looking at these signs in front of the 802.11, you can decide which network would it be and how much throughput or the maximum speed it could give you through that Wi-Fi router. Now, Wi-Fi equipment, mobile devices needs a wireless client, network interface card adapter, which is a Wi-Fi adapter which is built in the devices like mobile phones and handheld devices. Most of the computers that desktop computers which were a bit old, they are They were not equipped with the Wi-Fi adapter, so we use a Wi-Fi dongle. Through there are various vendors available for that. You can use that in order to connect to the Wi-Fi networks. Special software is needed to translate between the device adapter. It's included in all operating systems today. Even if it's not included, sometimes there is a CD or a DVD that comes with the adapter, so you can install it if there are any compatibility issues. Further, you can download those drivers from their websites, and you can enable them by installing those drivers on the computer. Wireless broadband routers mostly used for home-based Wi-Fi networks, base station for sending and receiving the signals, and the gateway to the internet. So if you have a Wi-Fi router installed at home, you can connect your devices using that Wi-Fi network as far as the signals are in good strength in your home. This is a typical kind of a router, Wi-Fi router. We can see that it has an antenna for the transmission of the signals. Then we have an on and off button followed by the power adapter over here, which we connect. If we want to reset the router for the username and password, we press this button over here, the small reset button, and it would reset the settings of the router to its default settings. Then we have certain Ethernet ports appearing at the back side of the router, where you can connect 1, 2, 3, 4 different devices through the wired network. That's in addition to the wireless capability of this router. And if you are connecting it through a DSL line, digital subscriber line, you can connect it over here. That would be an uplink for this router, so that it would get the internet connection through this DSL line, and then everyone else in your home would be able to enjoy the Wi-Fi coverage at home. Now we are trying to understand that how the internet works in home and how do we connect other devices at home with the Wi-Fi network. We have an internet line that would be coming to our modem, and through that modem the line would be going to your wireless router. Now all the other devices which you have at home, which could be laptops, tablets, printers, PCs, anything, all gadgets having a Wi-Fi capabilities can be connected to this Wi-Fi router, and they can enjoy the internet at home. Now, what is an access point? More sophisticated than a wireless router. Used in a business or school setting, signals can only be transmitted for several hundred feet. Multiple access points are used to provide cells or areas of coverage. Users move, called the roaming, from one cell to another. A handoff occurs so that the access point uses it to the closest becomes to the new base station. Now, in order to understand, or in order to explain the access points in a nutshell, in the organizations or in the schools, mostly in the universities, you will find a different kind of access points. They are different than the wireless routers that we have at home. The only difference is that all of these access points are usually reporting to a central access point, or the central controller through which we are controlling all these access points. They will be authenticated based on the username and passwords that the organization has issued to the staff or to the students in an educational institution. They'll be connecting their devices using these access points. Since the offices and the organizations are a bit bigger as compared to the home, where you have a closed environment and the limited number of devices will be connected to those devices, here we have lots of different devices and people would be roaming around inside the buildings, different classrooms and stuff. So we want to make sure that the user will not have to authenticate himself over and over again on each and every device. So for that we have a thing on it called roaming. So as soon as you're moving around in the office or in the educational institution, it would keep you connected to the closest access point that you have. As soon as you'll move ahead, you are moving to a different classroom, so it would automatically connect you to the closest access point having the maximum strength. So in that case, you don't need to authenticate yourself. Your same authentication realm will carry you along in all access points, and you'll be able to get simultaneously or round the clock access to the internet without entering the username and password. And a handoff occurs so that the access point user is closest to becomes the new base station. So as soon as you are closest to the new base station, which is of a better strength, it would automatically uh, associate with that access point. Now we are trying to understand over here the access points, laptops and other things are connected through the internet, where in the organization we have different access points connected, and all PCs, servers, file servers, etc. would be accessing the same, or can be accessed through the same Wi-Fi network in the organization. Now, attacks on Wi-Fi, risks from attacks on home-based Wi-Fi networks, reading the wireless transmissions, viewing and stealing the computer data, injecting malware, downloading harmful content, and while driving, searching for wireless signals from an automobile or on foot using a portable computing device. Now, these are the kind of attacks or the typical problems that we have. The way people would try to penetrate in the Wi-Fi networks, and there are certain risks associated with that. Now, reading wireless transmissions is that there are tools with the help of which someone can scan the Wi-Fi networks, and it can even capture the packets which are being transmitted between the device and the remote wireless access point. Through those tools, you can even see that how many devices are actually connected with this Wi-Fi network, what are their MAC addresses, etc. Viewing or stealing the computer data is as soon as you would try to authenticate, or your laptop or mobile phone or any other gadget would try to connect from your device to that Wi-Fi access point which does not belong to you. Still, these guys can capture the data, they can steal your information, or they can inject a malware through which they'll try to gain access to the Wi-Fi networks. Or it could be used to download harmful content using your Wi-Fi network. Now, people who are constantly looking for these kind of devices, they could be sitting in a car, they could be passing by your house, or they'll be holding some devices at home through which they are doing all these kind of tasks. We must be extra cautious when we are using the public Wi-Fi networks in a coffee shop, airport, school campus, or anywhere else where it's a public place. It's a biggest security concern that is out there. First, these networks are rarely protected in order to allow easy access for the user so that attackers can read from the wireless transmission sent from the user devices. In addition, an attacker can set up an evil twin. An evil twin is an access point or another computer designed to mimic the authorized Wi-Fi devices. A user's mobile device may unknowingly connect to this evil twin instead of the authorized device, so that the attacker can receive any transmitted data directly and then can send the malware to the user computer. So they are sometimes called even the clone or the rogue networks, with the help of which they'll be transmitting the same name, transmitting with the same SSID, so that your computer would be confused whether to pick the actual access point or it would connect to the closest one, since they will be sitting somewhere nearby. So their signal strength will be so strong that your computer would tend to connect to these devices rather than connected to those access points. So that's how they are capturing the information through these Wi-Fi networks. That's what we are talking about over here. Evil twin and a wireless device will mimic an authorized Wi-Fi, and unknowingly you can connect to the attacker network. Now, attacks through the Bluetooth, commonly the wireless technology, short range up to 33 feet 10 meters, 1 MB transmission rate. Bluetooth attacks are by bluejacking, but sending unsolicited messages to Bluetooth enabled devices, usually text messages. And then we have blue snarfing and accessing the unauthorized information which we have on these devices. As you might have seen that if you are connecting your mobile phone to the car Wi-Fi, onto the car Bluetooth system, it automatically copies the telephone directory or the contents and stuff like that. You can easily play the music which is being played on the mobile phone over to the Bluetooth network, so it has certain access to the files and the resources on the device itself. So these people exploit that thing in order to gain access to the content which is inside the mobile phones. We are using Bluetooth technology in automobiles, home entertainment systems, in different cameras, then Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth enabled mics. Then we have computer accessories, and then gaming and medical and health center, for example, blood pressure monitors, etc. Now, attacks on mobile devices, for example, the portable computers, in addition to the attacks on wireless networks to which mobile devices are connected, attacks on the devices themselves are also very common. There are different type of mobile devices and their security risk associated with each device. For example, first of all, we have the laptops, and then mobile phones, and then portable computers, or ultrabooks we call them, or web-based computers. They face the same attacks as on the desktop computers, in addition to the risk of theft. Now, theft especially prevalent at the airports, where people are constantly connected to these Wi-Fi networks, and they are looking for the open devices with the help of which they can easily gather some information. Now let's go through some of the gadgets or the devices that we are using, attacks on mobile devices, as the sub notebook or the laptops that we are using. Further, we have handheld tablets. Most of the kids are spending a lot of time watching different cartoons and tutorials, etc. Portable devices, which are generally larger than the smartphones. They rely on a touchscreen instead of a keyboard, and often classified as the screen size, for example, 5, 8 inches, or 10 inches. Designed for user convenience, you can easily carry them along. They have a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth network both enabled on them. So if you want to connect to the Bluetooth devices or the Wi-Fi devices, even they are coming in equipped with the SIM card capability, with the help of which you can connect to the 4G or cellular networks as well. The most common operating system on these devices, handheld devices, are Apple iOS or Google Android, and now even the Microsoft Windows is coming on these devices. As you can see, that's an example of a tablet. Now, smartphones has all the tools of a feature phone. That includes an operating system that allows it to run application, access the internet. 2 out of 3 mobile phones today are smartphones. So gone are the days when people were using those Symbian mobile phones, which were meant to make the calls only. Nowadays, all of these smartphones are equipped with the latest gadgets and applications, so you can make the calls, you can send the SMS messages, you can use all the applications which are available on the Play Store, and with the help of that you can enjoy a variety of things. It adds capabilities to your devices. Even it improves the overall productivity if you are trying to search for a specific thing, or you're conducting different kind of experiments or applications on your mobile phones. Now, there is another thing which is quite common these days. We call them a wearable technology. A new class of the mobile technology consists of devices that can be worn by the user instead of being carried, known as the wearable technology. These devices can provide even greater flexibility and mobility. As the cost of the wearable technology has decreased, while the network speed of the devices has increased, sales of these technologies has dramatically risen. Now, the wearable devices shipments worldwide totally around about 26 million units in 2014, and has increased to 173% of the following year, to 72 million units. It's estimated that the wearable devices shipments worldwide would reach 175 million by 2020, like with the year which ended. The most common kind of a wearable technology that people are using are the fitness trackers, and smartwatches serve as the accessory to the smartphones or the users, which can be even configured with these fitness trackers, or they can work standalone on it itself. Now, the beauty in that is that most of these wearable technologies or the gadgets that we have, they are connected to our mobile phones, or they have their own operating system, each and everything. They can directly communicate with the internet, so your WhatsApp messages, SMS, even you can receive the calls on it. There is a camera on it, so you can even enjoy the video conferencing using the same devices. Now this is a typical kind of a fitness tracker or the smart device, and we'll be talking about mobile device risks in our next lecture. That's it for today, guys. Thank you very much.